So what's up, everyone? My name is Ron Griswell. I'm out here reporting live from the show floor at Outdoor Retailer Snow Show. Pretty much, I'm really excited today to talk to JJ Huggins here with Patagonia. We're going to be talking about fair trade in the industry. Fair trade is it's something we hear about a lot of. It's like lofty title, but like what really is it? So I'm really excited to have JJ here to talk to us and share his time with us. But before we get into that, first, JJ, what are you doing with like Patagonia? Let's start. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Last day of the show. Feeling energized. Kind of winding down. A few meetings today, and been showing the line to a lot of people from the media, and the Patagonia booth's been jam-packed all week, and kind of pretty stoked on all the things that are happening in this industry right now.
That's what's up. Is this the last interview? More interviews to come?
A couple more later today. Yeah, you're catching me while I'm still, fairly
Oh, that's good.
caffeinated.
We got a good timing then.
Yeah.
Good timing. Okay. Well, yeah, let's jump into it. Like I said, Patagonia is a leader in the industry when it comes to fair trade. So, as we're jumping in, I'm going to approach this from a novice perspective. Like, what is fair trade? Let's start there. What is fair trade?
Fair trade is it's a standard. It's a certification that most people will recognize from food products such as coffee and chocolate. Patagonia works with Fair Trade USA. It's a non-governmental organization, and they help ensure standards that are in place for workers. They work a lot with farms in agriculture to ensure that the farm laborers around the world are working under quality working conditions and are paid a certain wage. We have been working with them for our factories that are around the world, and they come in, they do a months-long process, and they work with the factory ownership and the factory workers to ensure certain labor conditions and then certain payment conditions. And then once those conditions are met, they become a fair trade certified factory. And that ensures, from our standpoint, that our products are made, that the workers are treated a certain way.
Nice. Okay, so you said that it's something that most people will recognize fair trade, and then in the grocery store looking at that banana, that avocado, or whatever it be, chocolates, which we can always use right now. And so how has that translated into the clothing?
For us, it's cut and sew factories. It's our supply chain involves raw material and then fabric, and then all that fabric that we're developing has to go to a factory somewhere to be stitched together. We're working with Fair Trade USA to certify the factories that do the actual sewing. So you're talking about people on the factory floor at rows of sewing machines, and they're sewing up your Gore-Tex jacket or your Better Sweater fleece. This is to ensure that they are paid a fair wage and work in decent working conditions, and that the factory is actually meeting environmental conditions as well.
And that's a good point. So you talk about the factory meeting those environmental conditions. So what is that certification process like for those factories, or how are they certified? And also on the end of that, with Patagonia's time in this space, how did it look for Patagonia moving into that fair trade space? Was it condensing and shutting down certain factories and moving away from them? So certification of factories and how Patagonia has morphed into that factory space.
We started in 2014. That's when we began our partnership with Fair Trade USA. It started off with a small portion of our product line, a lot of our yoga clothing at the time. That was kind of our foray into fair trade. Our yoga line was some of the first products we launched that are fair trade certified. We forged this partnership with Fair Trade USA, and we had to go with them to some of our factories and identify factories that could meet this criteria. And some of them are already doing it anyway, and some of them needs to have some work to do on certain fronts. And it takes about 6 months to a year for Fair Trade USA to come in and go through that certification process, they're going to look at waste. Where is the waste from the factory going? What environmental issues might they have? And then they're going to look at working conditions for the people. And then the wage that they get, there's a certain kind of bonus structure that gets paid out to the employees. They come in, they see where the factory's at to begin with, and then they work to make sure all these standards, they verify that standards, if they're already meeting standards, they independently verify that those standards are being met. If they're not meeting certain standards, they help the factory, they work with the factory ownership to get up to that standard.
That's
and
awesome.
then the final piece they do is they have the employees, the rank and file factory workers, they democratically elect a fair trade committee. That committee is going to represent the workers and their interests. They're also going to manage the bonus payment that gets paid to the factory workers. When we come into a factory, we're going to pay a premium, a fair trade premium that Patagonia pays, and it goes into a separate bank account. We have a negotiated price that we're paying for all the products that goes to the factory ownership. Then we have a separate premium that we pay into a different bank account that the Fair Trade Committee controls. They're democratically elected rank and file factory floor workers, and they control where this money that we pay them goes. And they can decide to do a cash bonus to all the employees. Some of them have bought bicycles, televisions, computers, they've set up daycares. They could choose a specific project, or it could be as simple as just a cash payment to the people there, but they decide what to do with that. So we started in 2014 with a portion of our product line, and we've going to our factories and doing them one at a time, coming in with Fair Trade USA and getting them up to this standard. We're talking about our 2019 product line right now, and it started with that small portion of our products back in 2014. It's now we have 70% of our product line starting 70% is going to be fair trade certified, and we're talking about the places where they sew up the products.
Okay, and that brings up a good question. So, is that 100% certified fair trade? Is that something that is attainable?
Yes.
I know from the sew perspective, like you said, from the seams and everything, but is it something attainable for the entire garment?
Absolutely. It's going to take a lot of work to get there. There's a lot of, when you get into your supply chain, you go down a lot of rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Patagonia is very good at going down rabbit holes and investigating where our materials are coming from. And that opens up all the Pandora's box.
Yeah.
And then you start looking at who's making this, how are they being treated. Absolutely. We believe we can go 100%. All of our products and all the materials on our product. That's the goal that we're shooting for.
That is awesome. Walking in your booth at your happy hours, partying with you all, I see one of the signs over there that says, everything but the zipper.
Yeah.
Well, can you go a little bit more into that? I know you've been talking about it a little bit now, but it seems like the zipper is like the big piece for a lot of people.
Yeah, one of our most popular products is our Better Sweater. It's a fleece. It's
a cozy fleece.
Cozy. You can use it for a variety of conditions. You can wear it to work. You can wear it to the mountains. It performs at a very high level. It's one of our best sellers. Those are fair trade certified. And for fall 2019, they're going to be 100% recycled polyester. The whole garment, everything is recycled except for the zipper. So we're saying everything but the teeth. The zipper is still a metal, virgin material zipper. And we're working on finding a recycled alternative for the zipper, but we're not there yet. It's something our R&D team is working on. The zipper is the thing that's most likely to fail on any garment. When that thing, it's probably happened to a lot of people watching this, your zipper gets stuck or some teeth break off. And now that thing is useless. We will fix those for people, but we don't want to release a product into the wild knowing that there might be something that isn't up to our quality standards. So the zipper is the only virgin component on the Better Sweater moving forward.
Okay.
We're working on getting that recycled.
And that's perfect. And you mentioned that you mentioned when Patagonia started with fair trade, and you mentioned a little bit about what Patagonia is currently doing for fair trade. You just talked about the fleeces, and I know that you all are also in wetsuits, correct?
Yes.
And tell me, so are there other products, and also like what can you talk about with the fair trade and the wetsuits?
Our wetsuits are made in Thailand. They're sewn up in a factory called Shaco. A lot of the leading wetsuit brands, a lot of the leading surf brands make their wetsuits. They have their wetsuits sewn in the same factory, Shaco in Thailand. They're on the cutting edge of wetsuit technology. We've done the work with Fair Trade USA to get that factory fair trade certified. When those workers are sewing up the Patagonia wetsuits, they're getting paid that fair trade premium, and then they finish the Patagonia wetsuits and they move on to another brand. And these are brands that every surfer has heard of. When you go out in the ocean, you see surfers wearing these other brands and Patagonia. When they move on to sewing up the other brand, they're not getting paid that fair trade premium. However, if those brands want to become fair trade certified for their wetsuits, they can pay the premium to the factory. We have already done that 6 months to the 1 year process of the legwork of getting Shaco fair trade certified. That piece of the puzzle is done. If other brands want their wetsuits to be fair trade certified, all they have to do is pay for it now. We've done all the work to get us to this point. It would be a massive step forward for the surf industry if other brands joined us. This is going to help the people that are making our wetsuits. Think of all the surfers around the world who are out there enjoying the ocean.
Yeah.
To know that the people that are stitching up this garment that allows you to stay in the water for a long period of time and catch all those waves are being paid a more fair wage. That's something we can all feel better about. It's happening for the Patagonia wetsuits right now. We just got this Shaco Fair Trade certified. We've opened the door for other brands to do it.
That is amazing. That is really awesome. Now, so you have the wetsuits, have the fleeces. Actually, before we get into like any other of those, I was actually looking down here and a question came in. So, we know that greenwashing is a thing. Is fair trade washing a thing?
Sure. There are some different standards out there, some different fair trade standards, and it's pretty easy to say in your product copy that, they're paid this or that. We care about the factory workers, and could be totally true. It could be fair washing.
Yeah.
You don't always know. We work with Fair Trade USA. They're a reputable organization. When you see that logo on your coffee at the grocery store, on your chocolate, or on a piece of clothing in the clothing store, that gives you peace of mind that this is independently verified. And if we're checking back in with these factories, and if they slip and they make some violations, they could lose that certification. We'll work with them to maintain all of the structure, all this framework. But if they're lagging, if they're not holding up their end of the deal, they could lose that certification, and then that logo is going to come off. So yeah, you want to look out for the right certifications.
Look out for the right certifications.
Yeah, and that gives you a peace of mind that there's good people behind that care, that invest their careers in this.
I almost wonder what can be done from an industry perspective, because you see there's so many different kinds of certifications, so it's just and people, they're going to look at that certification, whatever it may say, whoever it may be, and they think it's going to be fair trade when in actuality it may not be. So it's how, I wonder, that may be a question you may not know, but how the industry can look at that and and scale back some.
As an industry, we need to unite behind some common practices, some common certifications. The food industry is notorious for all the different organic certifications. It's so confusing, and you go to buy something and there's 5 different labels at the bottom. You don't know what they all mean. In the food, Patagonia is also in the food business, and we're trying to unite around some common criteria here and get buy-in from the rest of the industry. The clothing industry needs to do that as well. We need to be on the same page and then show our customers this is the gold standard.
Yeah. We're going to come back to food in just a minute, but you mentioned one of the factories you all are already located in for your wetsuits. What are some of the other factories you all work at and work within?
We have 26 factories that are fair trade certified. And again, that accounts for 70% of our product line.
Yeah.
These factories are in Thailand, Sri Lanka, Mexico, Colombia, Los Angeles, where we do our T-shirts. They're spread out around the world, and they're making a variety of products. One of the next really exciting products that we're doing is all of our waterproof shells are fair trade certified.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 62. It's a lot of volume for us. It's 62 jackets. It's our entire line of shells of waterproof jackets starting in fall 19. They're all fair trade certified.
So everything from ski to rainwear.
Exactly.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And so you touched on the shirts, the jackets, the fleeces. That's really amazing. And we were talking about kind of what the industry can do in a lot of ways. And I want to know, like, how does Patagonia stand when it comes to the rest of the industry? You know, are you all on this little mountain that I see you all on, you know, and everyone else is lower? Or, like, you know, how is that? How do you see that?
We're a smaller percentage of the industry. We're really excited when we see other brands such as Prana, J. Crew just recently announced that they're going fair trade. They have a lot of their product line is fair trade. Madewell. Some of these aren't exclusive, you know, technical outdoor brands that are doing this, but we're seeing a lot of hope that fair trade is catching on with some well-known brands, and that other brands are embarking on this journey as well. When you account for all the brands under this roof, it's still a small percentage. Patagonia we're just one player in this industry, and we're trying to lead the way. We're doing this legwork with Fair Trade USA, with the factories. A lot of these brands under this roof are made in these same factories, and we're not keeping this exclusive to Patagonia. We want other brands to do this. When you look at the cost for going fair trade, it's pretty minimal. The cost per unit, the cost per jacket, per fleece, it's not even that much money where we have to pass that cost on to our customers. We haven't raised our prices by doing fair trade certification. It's really negligible. On the flip side, when you take all 62 of those jackets that we're making and you add a little bit of that fair trade premium onto it, for the people that are working on the factory floor, that is a substantial amount of money to them. But to us, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't cost us that much.
Yeah.
And other brands out here might be a little nervous about paying more and then worrying about passing that cost on to their customers, especially if they're publicly owned. Patagonia is privately held. We can make decisions without having to go to our shareholders because we don't have shareholders. It's privately held. We have a lot more freedom. One of those arguments you can get around pretty quickly with some of the bigger companies that are publicly owned is that it really doesn't cost that much. And then when you factor in all of the marketing value you get, every time we talk about fair trade in one of these settings, this is getting some brand exposure out there to people. It pays for itself.
Yeah. That's so, and basically you're saying just a small incremental financial cost will have a huge, with everything you already explained, will have a huge, what I consider emotional and intellectual value to the community. And
social criteria that meet fair trade certifications, they see value in that. Even though we don't want to raise our prices, we have a lot of hope in knowing that the next generation sees more value. When they see that some thought has gone into caring for the workers, they see more value in that brand and those products, and beginning to expect that and
Yeah.
demand that, and we're really enthused by these people.
That is great. That is really great. What are would you consider there being any like trends in the fair trade industry, like, you know, when you like start to look into the future, like certain trends other than, you know, just doing fair trade, but does fair trade have its own little trends within it?
The goal of fair trade is to get toward a living wage, to get the workers to a point where they can really improve their lives and have a better cost of living. That's not necessarily a fashion trend, but that's the goal that we're working toward, is more means, more resources for the workers. I mean, the fashion industry, the clothing industry has been in a lot of ways a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
These factories have been opening up in developing countries where people are moving away from farms, from agricultural societies, into cities where they can get a job laboring in a factory because they get paid more. But it really isn't that much money. These companies are exploiting the conditions there. They're exploiting the local labor laws. And the trend has been to try to do more for those people, to stop exploiting them. I think the entire clothing industry had an eye-opener in 2013 with the factory collapse in Bangladesh.
That was terrible.
That was terrible. I was working for Patagonia in retail at the time, and the first question that came to my mind, that came to my coworkers' mind, was, is that a factory that makes Patagonia products? It wasn't.
Yeah.
But we were all like, what are we doing to make sure this doesn't happen to a factory that makes Patagonia products? Fair trade, we launched Fair Trade a year after that. The trend has been to undo some of the economic injustice that's been happening for decades.
Yeah. That's great. That is really amazing. God, you just saying that, you know, because I was about to bring the Bangladesh situation up. I was like, you know, is that iffy? I don't know. But one thing that I was thinking about was going back now to the food that Patagonia is now in. I've had the salmon, I had the mussels, I had the bars. I love all of them. Are these items fair trade as well?
Some of them are. Some of them, the salmon is caught here in North America, and there are certain local labor laws in place where it's not to say we wouldn't go with some sort of fair trade certification for them, but the local law, they're paid really well to begin with, and there hasn't been a need to focus so much on that. It hasn't been a priority because we know they're taken care of. Our fruit and almond bars, we're working on some fair trade certification for them. They come from Central America. We're also working on regenerative organic agriculture for some of those products. That's kind of...
What was that term you just used?
Regenerative organic agriculture.
Can you quickly, what is that?
Sure. A little bit of a rabbit hole, but it's a form of organic agriculture which involves mimicking nature. If you think of factory, big farm, big ag, big agriculture, where you see rows and rows of monocrops, cornfields. You drive through the Midwest and you see rows and rows of the same thing growing.
So
there's a lot of pesticides and a lot of processing and a lot of damage that gets done to the soil to grow the same crop over and over. Regenerative agriculture is mimicking nature, where you might have strawberries growing here and then something else growing over here, and it's more what you would see in the wild. What that does is that sequesters carbon from the atmosphere into the soil, and that we see is the solution to the climate crisis. And we're working with a lot of farms to implement that type of agriculture. Our provisions products, we're working with some of the farms where we source some of the fruit that you get in those fruit and almond bars to transfer over to these, or we're finding farms that are already doing these regenerative practices, and we're beginning to source fruit from them.
I now know I can buy these items in good confidence.
They should taste better too.
Now, is there a certain trajectory on, like, you know, when you all want to, or is Patagonia trying to do, you know, 100% fair trade with their food as well?
Yeah, everything is the goal that we're always striving toward. Our North Star is to be fair trade and everything, to get the people who make our products up to a living wage standard. This is at the root of where we come from.
Yeah.
We're an alpine company, we're an environmental activist company, and if you care about the environment, you begin to dig, you begin to peel back the layers and look at where your products are coming from, and then you start looking at the people who are making this. And if you tend to care about the environment, you tend to care about people as well. And in our North America headquarters in Ventura, California, we were on the cutting edge of bringing in childcare to the workplace, to having flex time work policies where employees can go surf on their lunch break. They can take off for a few hours to go climb, or we have really good working conditions there. And it's been our evolution to expand that to our stores, our offices, and then all the way on down the supply chain. We value curiosity in our culture. We value new employees coming in with a fresh set of eyes and saying, why is this the way we do things? Is there a better way? And when you ask questions, you peel back the layers, you start finding better solutions to taking care of people. You get unbound by your own conventions. You get uncomfortable. We find things in our supply chain that make us uncomfortable, and then we start working on solutions.
So with fair trade, I mean, it seems like you have community empowerment, you have supply chain transparency, even environmental protection, and some other things in there. How does, we have all that with fair trade, in the political arena, you hear a lot about free trade. How does that compare?
Free trade has opened up the door to a lot of the problems in supply chains that we see around the world. Free trade has allowed a lot of offshoring of jobs, and of factory jobs in particular, from America to other parts of the world. And we're in a globalized economy now. I don't see that changing anytime soon. And there's a lot of fights to be fought politically, over trade wars and over different, trade agreements that we have with various countries. That's sort of, if you look back into the 90s when that all began, or maybe even before that, that's what's led us down the path of, in the clothing industry, it became a race to the bottom. How can you make your clothing as cheaply as possible to then sell it back here in the U.S. for as cheaply as possible? And it's led to slave labor conditions, terrible environmental degradation in these developing countries where the standards, the local laws are low. And that's brought up a need for groups like Fair Trade USA, the Fair Labor Association, has brought up the need for these non-governmental organizations to emerge, to pop up, and to go in there and do the work that governments aren't doing. These are the people making our products. We have a responsibility to ensure that they are paid a decent wage, that they're not in slave labor conditions, that they can have a good quality of life, raise their kids, put their kids in school, not work 16 hours a day, not have children laboring, and have a quality of life and not destroy the environments in those countries. Trade over the years and different agreements have led us down this path, and now it's on us as companies producing goods, to undo a lot of the damage that's been done.
Thank you for that. And wrapping up, what's your hope for the future?
I'm really optimistic. I'm seeing more, every time I come to Outdoor Retailer, I see more brands talking about fair trade, launching fair trade product lines. I'm hopeful that this entire industry can get on board with this. When we can get all the ULEX wetsuits fair trade certified, and then just hand that over to any other brand that wants to do that in that same factory. When we can make all of our beautiful Gore-Tex skiing, snowboarding shells fair trade certified, we're showing that any other brand can do it. A lot of these brands get their products sewn up in the same factories. They can jump on board, and I'm seeing other brands doing that, and that makes me feel really optimistic.
That is awesome. Brands, October is International Fair Trade Month. What are you going to do? I would like to once again thank JJ Huggins here from Patagonia. This has been a fantastic interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's been great. Once again, you all, my name is Ron Griswell. I'm reporting live from the show floor here at Outdoor Retailer Snow Show for The Voice and Snooze. Take care.